Good afternoon, ma'am, and my dear friends. I, Ms. Shireen Malik, and my few friends are here to present in front of you all the group presentation of roll number 11 to 20, and our topic is Women's Movement in India. I thank Seema ma'am for giving us this catchy topic and all my group members who made an effort for making this topic worth presenting in front of all, and the names are displayed on the screen. So let's start our presentation. Women's Movement in India. Feminist in India is a set of movements aimed at defining, establishing, and defending equal political, economic, and social rights and opportunities for women in India. It is the pursuit of women's rights within the society of India. Like their feminist counterparts all over the world, Feminist in India seeks gender equality, the right to work for equal wages, the right to equal access to health and education, and equal political rights. Indian feminists also have fought against cultural specific issues within Indian patriarchal society such as inheritance laws. The history of feminism in India can be divided into following phases. The first phase, beginning in the mid-19th century, initiated when reformists began to speak in favor of women's rights by making reforms in education, custom evolving women's. The second phase, from 1915 to Indian independence, when Gandhiji incorporated women's movement in the Quit India movement and independent women's organization began to emerge. The third phase, post-independence, which has focused on fair treatment of women at home, after marriage, in the workforce, and right to political party. The fourth phase is towards women empowerment.
Impact of social reformers. Beginning in the mid-19th century, reformers began to speak in favor of women's rights by making reforms in education customs involving women. A reform movement is a type of social movement that aims to bring a social or also political system closer to the community's ideas. Social reformers like Rajaram Mohan Roy, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Mahadev Govind Ranade, Behramji Malbari challenged customary parties which were discriminatory. Reform movement is distinguished from more radical social movements which reject those old ideas in that the ideas are often grounded in liberalism. Major social problems which came in the preview of reforms movement were emancipation of women, casteism, and untouchability education for bringing about enlightenment in society. Government enchanted laws like the Sati Prohibition Act 1829, the Widow Remarriage Act 1856, the Female Infanticide Prevention Act in 1870, the Age of Consent at Marriage Act at 1891.
Margaret Elizabeth Cousins, known as Greta Cousins, born on 7th November 1878 and died on 11th March 1954. Irish Indian educationist, suffragist, and theosophist, they established All India Women's Conference in 1927. Credited with composing the tune for the Indian national anthem Jana Gana Mana in Feb 1919. During Rabindranath Tagore's visit to the Madanpalli College, they organized a conference in Pune. This meeting crystallized ideas and inputs about promoting women's education in India. Also established Women's Indian Association founded by Adayar in Madras. Today it is known as Chennai. In 1917 by Annie Besant, Gina Raja Desa, and others to liberate women from the deplorable condition women suffered in socio-economic political matters. During the 19th and the early 20th century, the impact of the British on the general aim of philosophy of the women's movement cannot be denied. Liberalism in thought's approach had set in, encouraging women to educate themselves. So, Most women beneficiaries belong to upper caste birth and an elite background. The British period did push the women's cause for the welfare of humankind.
Impact of nationalist movement. In 1915 to Indian independence, when Gandhiji incorporated women's movement in the Quit India movement, and independent women's organization began to emerge. Nationalist movement witnessed increased participation of women. Mobilization of women to fight for the political independence inspired women become aware about their right. Nationalist movement in Nigeria. Nigerian nationalism was mostly felt after the establishment of effective British rule in the country. Our aim of the movement was to achieve both political and economic emancipation for the disparate group who had come together courtesy of the amalgamation of northern and southern protectors in 1914 from the British colonialists. When men freedom fighters were imprisoned, their women counterparts handled the difficult and challenging circumstances.
Third point, post-independence era. After Indian independence, which focused on fair treatment of women at home after marriage, in the work home, and right to political party. Year 1947 was a historic year for India. The country was free of foreign rule, and there was hope and expectations as a new India began emerging.
In the post-independence period, the women's movement has concerned itself with a large number of issues such as dowry, women's work, price rise, land rights, political participations of women, Dalit women and marginalized women's rights, growing fundamentalism, women's representation in the media, etc.
Year 1975 to 85 decade was announced as International Women's Decade. Year 1975 was declared as International Women's Year by United Nations UNO.
Women started participation in increasing number in the Naxalbari movement in West Bengal and the Naxalite movement in Andhra Pradesh, the Nav Nirman Youth movement in Gujarat, and the Chipko movement.
Phase of women's movement focused more on violence against women's sex stereotyping and further legislative demands for equality of women. By 1980s, women's organizations were active in Bombay, Mumbai, Pune and Delhi. Newsletters published to bring women's issue to the forefront are The Finest Network, Manushi, cases that prove decisive in determining the modern causes of women's movements are Mathurai rape case 1972, Rope Kanavar Seth case 1987, Mirabai rape case 2012. Reference points for feminists to sharpen the focus of the movement are dowry. Dowry means an amount of money or property which is some countries a woman's family given to the man she is marrying. Domestic violence. Domestic violence means violent teasing and deaths.
The Shramik Mahila Sangathan Working Women's Organization, the Progressive Organization of Women, and the Mahila Samathan Sanigdha League of Women Soldiers for Equality were some of the organizations that emerged during this period.
Point towards women empowerment. Women empowerment is a widely discussed term in today's society and talks about the upliftment of the female gender. First, it is a long-term and revolutionary protest against discrimination based on sex and gender.
Women empowerment has brought a lot of economic and social gains to India. Women from different professions like journalism, academic, medicine, and cooperative have enthusiastically joined in the mission of empowering women. Women movement can said to be the most pluralist movement. Its evolution and growth cannot be described in monolithic fashion, using a singular criterion of chronology, ideology, and geography. Women's empowerment help in improving the standard of life of women in rural as well as metro areas, preventing the crucial of female fratricides, reducing gender inequality in society, achieving comprehensive growth, meaning growth in each sector and for all the section of society.
The basic objective of the movement can be summarized into three important points: struggle for equal rights, elimination of discriminatory practices, realization and actualization of women's potential to empower themselves. Participants in the movement are women activities, enlightened men, voluntary non-government organization, government itself. Empowerment women can contribute to national building by joining any sector like an army, social services, political education, corporate sector, etc. Government should focus especially in rural areas for the employment women as the majority of India's population resides in the village.